I thought this was a book that was distributed to him. I was taking a look at it. I found some really great things in here. I was thinking, well, this could be used in life, not just in the Peace Corps. These are some things. I just read a couple things I thought were great life lessons. I was like, wow, what a great idea to send somebody off with this book. And then I found out, I guess I wasn't paying attention, when you said my book, I thought it was a book that was like issue to. You wrote the book. So this is pretty cool. I had no idea. And the proceeds from this book, see, I'm thinking here because, you know, I'm American, and, you know, I'm thinking, well, that's a great idea. You know, you're in the Peace Corps, and you get like, what, $150 a month to cover everything. Now, 150, people need $150 a month to cover everything. So volunteer is a good word for people. And I'm thinking, well, there you go, you can make some extra bucks, write a book. But that's not what's happening with the book. The book is, all the proceeds are going to
Peace Corps.
Right.
Yep.
And this covers, what, first couple of years?
Yeah, so the idea, I started writing it about 3 years ago when I started applying to Peace Corps, and I had all these questions, and I talked to some people, got some good answers. Sometimes people couldn't remember, so I just kept track of my answers, and I wrote it down for 3 years, and got other people to share their answers with me too. So it's written by a team of people, dozens of volunteers around the world.
Oh, really? So this is not all, you're the editor, I guess, in chief.
Right.
But some of the different things come from different people.
Right. There's a lot of quotes in here from volunteers all around the world, people that I know personally, some people that I met through the internet, all kinds of different people. And that's what's really made it great. Originally I thought it would be my experiences and my things, but Peace Corps is a huge organization. Every volunteer has unique experiences. So we tried to make it very general, but also very helpful. And it has advice from everyone. And we're trying to constantly get new additions to it. So hopefully it'll have a new edition every year. And volunteers from around the world can write in their experiences, write in their own questions. And I talk to people all the time who have all different questions, different experiences. And I think Peace Corps is all over the place. Mongolia is just one small part of Peace Corps. So it's a guide to help people in an unofficial way, because there's all kinds of questions that we have, and dealing with our work environment, our different experiences, things that we can share with each other.
Well, I mean, just from what I've seen in here, I mean, dream awake. When someone says they're living the dream, you know, talk about, don't do it. I love this, if I may. Did you write this? Did you write that? Don't do it part? Do me a favor. Read just the first paragraph there of don't do it.
Okay.
And then I'm just handing him the book, so you know, he hasn't rehearsed this. I was like, here, read this. But I love it because this just doesn't apply to Peace Corps volunteers. I was reading this. This applies to everybody. This applies to work that you're doing in your church. This applies to your career. This applies to your family. This applies to a lot of different things. If you would, please.
Sure. It says, if you aren't passionate about it, if you don't believe in it, if it really isn't important to you in the big picture, don't do it. Plain and simple. And if you have to, and don't say have to when you mean I'm scared of what will happen if you don't. So if you're always just saying I have to do this, I have to do that, you usually don't have to. You're
right.
Just
you're afraid of what's going to happen if you don't. So don't do it. You're wasting your time. That's just great. So I love the book. This is fantastic. So a lot of great things are happening for you.
Yeah.
Now I want to find out about Mongolia and what's happening with the people there and what you've been doing with Peace Corps. You're in the health field. Now tell me a little bit about that. There's so much to talk about this morning. And I saw in there, I'm not going to ask you to sum up your Peace Corps volunteer activities in 30 seconds. I'm not going to ask you to do that. Give us a general idea of what's it, because that's one of the questions.
Sure.
People say, what are you doing with the Peace Corps? And they want a 30-second answer, and then they, well, good to see you, let's move on, you know, because that's the way we are. We want sound bites. We don't want to really hear the whole thing. That's one of the things that we love about the show is we get an hour that we actually get to talk about some of the things. So that's one of the things that I love, because we're not looking for 30-second sound bites. We're looking, trying to find out what's going on with people. That's why I feel blessed to have this hour that we have a chance to do this. So I'm excited. Tell me about what's happening with the health field and what's happening.
Sure. Well, in Mongolia, health volunteers work usually in health departments, which is like an administration for the health in that province.
Right.
That's what I did. Also, they work in smaller areas like villages, and they work with clinics. But primarily, and Peace Corps around the world is usually doing these kinds of things where we're developing capacity of people who are already working in that field. So working with doctors, working with nurses, helping them do a better job by doing things that they already want to do. So the head of nursing in my hospital wanted to do a project outside the hospital and develop a place for patients to be able to relax and have less stress. Also to develop more their yoga and meditation and these kinds of preventative things.
A lot of that's happening here. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So I helped her do those things, or one of the doctors wanted to help with her English or leadership skills. She ended up becoming director of the hospital during my service. So a lot of really neat things like that happen when you're able to work with the people in your area and help them develop capacity they already wanted to develop, and they just maybe didn't know English, or they didn't have resources, money, or the ability to write a grant, these things.
And see, when you're talking about these things in grant writing and service to this area, this is totally apart from what I generally think, because I'm not thinking of a more progressive healthcare system in this area. I'm thinking more of an agrarian lifestyle and maybe wilderness, and if somebody breaks their leg, they fix it, they generally don't go to a hospital, and that's not the case. You're telling me there is more well-established healthcare than maybe I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's very similar to other areas around Mongolia, so China, Korea, those kinds of medical systems.
Right.
It's also a state supported medical system, so there's a lot of money there coming in from the government to help them get supplies, help them get equipment they need, training that they need. It's very developed, and they have ambulances that if someone does break their leg, and this happened during my service a lot of times with hurting, someone will break their leg, an ambulance will drive from the capital of the province, pick them up, bring them back to the hospital, and they'll have care there.
How long a drive is that?
It can be a while, maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Right, but at least that's being taken care of in a hospital setting.
Absolutely.
You're not having somebody out there set the leg and do the splint. I'm guessing childbirth pretty much happens at home.
Actually, a lot of people come into the hospital for that too.
That's great.
You'll have usually, I think, 10 to 30 days that mothers will have before they have their children.
Right.
So they'll be brought in when they're expecting. They'll be brought into the hospital and they'll stay there, and it's a very nice system there for childbirth.
Very good. So things are looking good for healthcare in Mongolia. I mean, it's obviously progressive. I'm going to guess the people are healthy, hardy.